And so, anybody who's a fan of music and really kind of deep dives into songwriting will know that a songwriter doesn't release everything, right? Like you keep
Mhm.
some stuff for yourself, and I feel like if I'm listening to your music and it's super poignant, super deep, and super emotional, I can only imagine what you're keeping for yourself, right? So, um,
Yeah.
yeah, that exists, right?
That it does exist. I mean, I tell people songwriting and creating in general is like a faucet. You turn it on to get the water hot, and sometimes it's gotta run for a bit, you know? And there's songs that I love that I've written that I'll never record, and that's okay, and I'll never share them to socials because those are for me. But there's some that have been very hard for me to sing, and I feel led to share them. So, I think it's all just what I feel led to do,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
I love that. Good stuff. The wording of Jess Woodland is so interesting to me, and I'm not talking about in a lyrical way either. She mentioned that she makes music not to be successful, but to outlive her depression, which I absolutely love. I love the way you put that because it's just seems so um, honest, right? It just seems so
Mhm.
honest, and I know people that use music and art for therapeutic reasons, and that's an obvious thing with you. That is your success, right? You've lived another day, and your music has allowed that to happen, right?
Correct. I think that too, when we look at artists and we look at people in creative fields or just any field, we think our success is based off of a number or what people think of it, the applause or the boos or the silence. I decided, and the only way actually that I was able to start posting was deciding to define my own success. My own success was just going to be completing the project. It wasn't going to be anything else that I heard after that. So in my mind, I'm very successful. The Grammy committee will never know who I am, and that's okay. I'm not worried about that. I feel like I've done what I've set out to do, as long as I've stayed true to myself, and I'm happy with what I'm
So,
doing. And
not
I
to cut
really
you off, but
feel
I think you're wrong. I think the Grammy committee will know who you are. I'm just gonna throw that out there. I think you're wrong.
well, let's knock on wood. Maybe I am wrong, but I just feel like we put too much stock in what other people think of what we do, and they don't have to go to bed with us every night. We do.
I think success should always be introspective. It always
Yes,
should be that. I don't think any of us as human beings in any field should allow somebody else to define what success looks like for us. Period.
correct.
I don't think that should be a thing. And if anybody out there is allowing that to happen, you need to stop that immediately. Do not let anybody tell you what success is for you, ever.
Mhm.
Um, that is only something you can define yourself. Period. That's how I feel about that. So I'm glad you're able to say things like that. Back to the wordplay. Um, Jess Woodland describes herself on her Instagram as a alternative singer, a backwoods dreamer, and an overcoming self doubt believer. This is what I'm talking about. These words, Jess. Like this. It,
I just thought it was cute. It rhymed.
this is so important to you, though, isn't it? Like, I mean, honestly,
It is.
like these again, honest. This is all honesty, right?
Yeah. Man, I really struggled with the idea of letting people know who I was. And I'll tell you right now, I would almost throw up every time I would post.
Yeah.
Every time, because I was worried. I was worried were thinking I was going to do it for attention or for the generic reasons of success. But I'm not interested in that. Truthfully,
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't care. If you like my music, I don't care.
Yo, this is a girl
And that
that
sounds
she
terrible.
she put
I
out
am
a
so lucky for the people encouraging me, I'll say that. But at the end of the day, I promised myself the whole point of this was to show other people that they're worth doing the things they said they weren't worth doing. So I put that in my bio because I want you to know where I started and watch where I'm going to go. And I'm going to do it because I want to do it for me, not for anything else.
That's why I'm
And I
so
want
happy
other
you're
people to
here,
feel
and
that.
I just want people to know, like, This is a girl that put out a live performance video singing with frogs as her background singers. Okay, I'm just gonna throw that out there. I challenge anybody to find anybody on social media that is that freaking cool. I'm just gonna say that was the most badass video I've seen this year, without a doubt.
Really?
Without a doubt, it was so cool.
Do you want to know something hilarious? Is that my husband raises those frogs. We have a ton of them, and he will take the frog eggs because we have a pool, and they'll lay them in our pool for some reason. And he goes and he'll raise tadpoles, let them loose in our yard.
So
So
there
I got
you
a
have
ton
it.
of
They are
frogs.
paying the frogs with flies. Just so you guys know, the frogs are not in a sweatshop or something like that.
That's right. They do get well taken care of here.
We can
Yes.
put that to rest out there. PETA, stay away. It's all good. Um, Let me ask you this. What's it like in the studio for you? Because we did talk about kind of the unpolishedness of your music, so there's not a whole lot of instrumentation with your music. So what's it like for you in the studio?
I love the people that I get to work with in the studio. I will tell you personally, I get extremely frustrated. Only because I don't like hearing myself in headphones. So
Hmm.
I have a very hard time. I don't tune anything that I do. Everything is actually the next few songs and the past two that I put out are all almost live takes. We all get in a room together and we play it. And then I get to use whatever vocal takes, and put them together. But I don't. I like to keep things very very simple. I say I have a small brain. I don't want a lot in my stuff because I really, this sounds selfish, really want people to pay attention to the words. Um, but the people I work with, they're so talented that I know it doesn't really matter what I do. The song's gonna be great because they're great. And I trust them. So it's a love-hate relationship. I love creating with these people. I have a hard time performing in a studio because, like you said, I sing with frogs outside. I sing in my kitchen. I sing when I'm driving.
Yeah.
I'm not listening to myself like this, so that's difficult. And in fact, the first couple times that I went and recorded anything, my headphones were half off because I said, I just can't. I just turn me
Yeah.
down, please. You know?
Is
So
it
yeah,
just you don't like the sound of your own voice, or is it imposter syndrome, or both?
both.
Yeah.
I actually really didn't like my voice for a very long time, which is another reason that I stopped singing. I really convinced myself that my voice sounded like everybody else's. And so I was like, there's nothing special here. And then also, I think I just have very high expectations for myself. And if I can't hit that, I get very frustrated. I think
Yeah.
everybody does, you know what I mean? So
Sure.
it's not
Yeah.
really a new take, but yeah.
That's the opposite of a problem.
I
Yeah.
know, probably a good thing.
Yeah.